Why you are not too much, you are just enough. Have you ever felt like you were just too much? Too emotional. Too talkative. Too opinionated. Too sensitive. Too passionate. Maybe someone said it to you outright. Or maybe it was the way they looked away when you shared something close to your heart. A quiet sigh when you laughed a little too loud. A dismissive "you're overthinking again" when you simply cared deeply. And slowly, you began to shrink yourself. Bit by bit. Word by word. Smile by smile. Until one day, you weren't sure where your true self went. If that sounds familiar, you are not alone. I want you to know, especially now, in this stage of your life, that you are not too much. You have never been too much. You are just enough. Just as you are. And it's not too late to believe that again. The truth is, many of us were raised in a time when being quiet was seen as polite. When being agreeable was expected. When putting others first was what good people did. But there comes a time, especially after 60, when you start to realize you've been carrying a weight that was never yours to hold. The weight of dimming your light just to make others more comfortable. The weight of apologizing for simply existing in your full, vibrant truth. Let's be real. Aging is already a road full of changes, our bodies, our roles in the family, the way the world sees us. And amidst all of that, it's so easy to feel invisible. Like you have to shrink even more just to fit in or not cause trouble. But I'm here to say, it's time to stop shrinking. It's time to take up space, not in a loud, demanding way, but in a soft, grounded, unapologetic way. Because the world doesn't need less of you. It needs more of your wisdom, your laughter, your stories, your perspective. Think back to a time when you were fully yourself. Maybe it was when you stood up for a friend. Or when you danced like no one was watching. Or when you spoke your truth, even if your voice shook. That version of you, that was never too much. That was your soul shining through. Life didn't ask you to silence her. People did. And people can be wrong. You see, what we often call too much is actually a reflection of someone else's inability to hold what we bring. If your empathy made someone uncomfortable, it's because they weren't ready to feel. If your excitement seemed overwhelming, it's because they'd forgotten what joy feels like. And if your honesty stirred the pot, it's because truth has a way of making things move. But that doesn't mean you should stop feeling, loving, laughing, or speaking. It means you were alive. And that is something to honor. I want to tell you about Joan. She's 73, lives alone, and spent most of her life caring for others. Her kids, her husband, her aging parents. She was always the listener, the helper, the one who made things run smoothly. But deep down, she always wanted to paint. She'd mention it here and there, but it was always met with, "That's not practical," or "maybe when things settle down." And for decades, she believed she was asking for too much. Wanting too much. Hoping too much. Until one day, she walked into a local art supply store, bought a beginner's kit, and started painting in her garage. And guess what? She wasn't too much. She was finally, beautifully, just enough. Her colors spilled onto the canvas like a song she had kept inside for years. Now, every Saturday, she hosts little painting circles with neighbors and friends. They laugh, share tea, and create. Not because it's useful, but because it's freeing. Because it's her truth. That's what I want for you. Whether your truth is quiet or bold, creative or contemplative, wild or gentle, it deserves room. You deserve room. And it starts with shifting the inner voice that whispers, "Be smaller." Instead, let's practice saying, "I belong. I matter. I'm enough." You've lived through so much. You've seen love, loss, change, and challenge. Don't let anyone, especially not that critical voice inside, convince you that you have to apologize for the space you take up now. This chapter is not about becoming less. It's about becoming more of who you've always been. And if there are people in your life who make you feel like you're too much, maybe it's not you. Maybe they're not ready for the kind of light you bring. That doesn't mean you have to dim it. It just means you're meant to shine somewhere brighter. So let's start there. With the small, brave act of saying, I am not too much. Say it out loud if you can. Whisper it if you need to. But say it. Let it land. Let it echo in your chest like a drumbeat of truth. Because you, yes, you, are just enough. There's something powerful that happens when you stop trying to edit yourself for the comfort of others. It's like returning home after a long journey, only to find out the home you were looking for was always inside you. But the tricky part is, we've spent so many years hearing what we're not quiet enough, not thin enough, not agreeable enough, that it can feel strange to simply be. And yet, being fully, freely, and without apology is one of the greatest gifts you can give yourself, especially now. You don't need to prove your worth through productivity or sacrifice. You don't have to earn your place by staying silent when something matters to you. And you certainly don't have to dim your joy just because someone else isn't ready to feel theirs. You're allowed to love what you love. You're allowed to want what you want. Whether it's quiet mornings with tea, a bold new haircut, or saying no without explanation, you're allowed. You're allowed to take up space. I remember speaking to a gentleman named Ray, a retired teacher in his late 60s. He told me that after retirement, he felt a sense of unease. Not because he missed work, but because, for the first time, there were no rules telling him what to do. No bell ringing to signal when to start or stop. No one asking for a lesson plan. At first, he felt lost. Unanchored. He wondered, am I doing enough? But then, he started volunteering at a local library. Not to stay busy, but because he genuinely enjoyed helping people find stories. He lit up when he talked about introducing an old man to audiobooks for the first time. It's like giving him a window to the world again, he said. That's not too much. That's presence. That's purpose. That's being human. The truth is, many of us confuse being low maintenance with being lovable. We think the less we ask for, the more will be accepted. The less we speak up, the easier we'll be to be around. But shrinking doesn't win love, it wins silence. And you deserve more than silence. You deserve to be seen. If someone ever told you you were too emotional, maybe they didn't know how to meet you in your depth. If they said you cared too much, maybe they weren't used to someone who genuinely did. If they said you talked too much, maybe your voice was simply brighter than their comfort zone allowed. And sometimes, the person who tells us that we're too much is us. That internal critic that says, stop being dramatic, when tears come to our eyes. That voice that whispers, you're asking too much, when you share your needs. That voice didn't appear overnight. It was shaped by years of trying to belong. But here's the beauty of where you are now, you don't have to keep that voice. You can rewrite it. Gently. Patiently. One day at a time. Start small. Let yourself feel without judgment. If something brings you joy, follow it. If something hurts, speak it. If a boundary needs to be drawn, draw it. Not because you owe it to anyone, but because you owe it to yourself. You've lived long enough to know what drains you and what fills you up. Trust that wisdom. You don't need to perform to be enough. You don't need to be agreeable to be loved. And you don't need to be invisible to feel safe. You can be vibrant. You can be vocal. You can be vulnerable. And still be whole. Still be lovable. Still be exactly enough. Sometimes, people will make you feel like your full self is inconvenient. Like you're taking up too much emotional space. But that's not your fault. That's a reflection of their own capacity, not your value. Your emotions are not baggage. They're signals. Your dreams are not silly. They're sacred. Your needs are not burdens. They're boundaries. Imagine a world where everyone was told, you are just enough. Imagine if that had been the message growing up. How differently might we have loved ourselves? Spoken our truths? Danced without fear? It's not too late to give yourself that message now. Look around. There are people waiting to meet the real you. Not the quiet version. Not the polished version. The real one. The one who's honest, curious, messy, radiant, thoughtful, tired, brave, and alive. The you who has stories and scars and stumbles, and still stands. That version is not too much. That version is home. So, take a deep breath. Let go of the need to explain yourself. Let go of the habit of apologizing for your feelings. Let go of the fear that you're somehow too anything. You've made it this far because you are enough. You've survived, you've grown, you've kept going, and now, it's your turn to thrive. Right here, right now, you have permission to exist exactly as you are. No filters. No edits. No shrinking. Because you are not too much. You are just enough. There's a kind of peace that comes when you finally stop trying to shrink into a version of yourself that fits someone else's comfort. It's like your shoulders settle, your breath deepens, and for the first time in a long time, you feel grounded in your own skin. Not performing. Not pretending. Just being. Fully. Quietly. Powerfully. You see, being just enough doesn't mean you have to be perfect. It doesn't mean you always get it right. It means you are allowed to show up, flaws and all, and still deserve love, dignity, and respect. It means that your story, however messy or unfinished it may feel, still matters. Your voice still matters. Your presence still matters. Sometimes we think we need to earn our worth. By doing more. Giving more. Fixing more. But the truth is, your worth was never in question. Not when you were young and unsure, and not now when the world sometimes dares to look past you. The problem isn't that you're too much. The problem is that too many people forget how sacred a full, feeling, complex human being truly is. And that includes you. So if there's a part of you that still holds back, still hesitates to share, to laugh too loud, to take up that seat at the table, I want you to ask yourself this: who taught me to fear my own light? And why am I still listening to them? You don't have to wait for permission to be whole. You don't have to earn space by shrinking. You already are the kind of person who makes a difference simply by showing up. With kindness. With history. With heart. Think of the moments in your life when someone needed you, and you showed up. Think of the times you comforted someone, gave without expecting, offered your wisdom even when no one asked for it but desperately needed it. That's not too much. That's grace in action. There's a woman named Linda I once met at a small community workshop. She was 68 at the time, widowed, quiet. She told me, "I've spent most of my life being what everyone needed me to be. I don't even know what I want anymore." That sentence stayed with me. Because it's not rare. So many people, especially women, especially older adults, carry a lifetime of meeting other people's needs. And at some point, we forget our own. But the beautiful thing about being this age, this chapter, is that you finally get to ask, what do I want now? What brings me joy, not obligation? What feeds my spirit, not just my schedule? And when you ask those questions, the answers might surprise you. Maybe you'll want to start writing that book you always dreamed of. Or take up gardening again. Or travel. Or say no to things that drain you and yes to things that heal you. Whatever it is, you don't need anyone's approval. You are enough to choose for yourself now. It's okay if you cry more easily than you used to. It's okay if you feel more deeply. That doesn't make you too much. It makes you beautifully alive. And after everything you've been through, the love, the grief, the laughter, the disappointments, you deserve to feel everything without shame. You've earned that. This world can be noisy and harsh and rushed. But you can be a quiet rebellion against all that. By being still. By being real. By refusing to shrink anymore. Your softness is strength. Your honesty is courage. Your presence is a gift. And if today is the first time you've heard someone tell you that you're not too much, let it sink in. Let it wrap around you like a warm blanket on a cold morning. Let it soothe the parts of you that have longed to feel seen. Because I see you. I see the woman who's learning how to love herself in ways no one else ever taught her. I see the man who's tired of pretending and ready to live from his truth. I see the soul who's been through storms and still rises with quiet dignity. You are not too much. You are not a burden. You are not broken. You are not asking for too much when you ask to be loved, heard, respected, included. You are just enough. Exactly as you are. So from here on out, speak your truth without apology. Laugh without shrinking. Feel without censoring. And live, not as someone who's trying to earn a place in the world, but as someone who already belongs. You always have. And if no one's told you lately, let me be the one to say it. I'm glad you're here. I'm grateful for your voice. And I hope you never again question the space you take up in this world. Because this world is better with you in it. Just as you are. Just enough. Now, if this message resonated with you, I'd love for you to share your thoughts in the comments. What part of your story are you reclaiming? And if you found comfort or strength in this, give the video a like, it helps others find it too. Subscribe to the channel for more conversations like this one, because you deserve to hear it again and again. You are not too much. You're just enough. Here's to living boldly, gently, and fully, at any age. You've earned it.